Planning theory works as a barometer, tracking change or lack of change, alerting me to when I am falling into patterns based off of past experiences, and offering the information that can create the change necessary to create a successful plan. Barometers, typically defined as an instrument used by meteorologists to measure atmospheric pressure to predict weather, are also defined as anything that indicates change. The barometer in planning theory measures our process of decision making to reveal the likely success of a plan. Planning theory urges planners to update our modes of decision making and allow for changes in the ways we create plans, recognizing that there is no one way to do something and that we as planners do not hold all the information we'll need. The transactive theory specifically calls for the exchange of knowledge with the public in order to ensure the success and sustainability of a plan, rather than the typical structure of input where the public may only be asked for their opinion, and the planner decides what is and is not important. No two plans should be created the exact same way, and planning theory is that barometer that alerts planners when our decision making becomes repetitive, rather than taking into consideration the intricacies of the situation in front of us. The situation described below put a spotlight on how decisions about public input can make or break a city, and how transactive theory showed me the importance of the exchange of knowledge to learn what will work for a specific project. I personally found communication to be my favorite and most enlightening part of planning, but realized how I'd engaged in it so far in my professional experience was not effective when learning about transactive theory. My best example of ineffective communication happened during my sophomore year of undergrad when I did a project with Friends of the Boneyard, a community group looking to improve the Boneyard Creek master plan. We were asked to go door to door in various Urbana neighborhoods, surveying to supplement the new Boneyard Basin in downtown Urbana to see what else the residents wanted to see around the basin, asking how often they used downtown, what they did there, and showed them pictures of different possibilities such as interactive art, food trucks, mural walls, and other amenities to attract people downtown. At the time, it seemed very inclusionary and exciting to be involved with, but as we got further from campus and spoke to lifelong residents, it was clear our survey was an example of the central issue in planning being authentic communication between planner and client actor, according to John Friedman. I was reminded of this experience when discussing transactive theory because we had assumed the list of things people wanted to see without actually involving them or asking for their input and knowledge of the city. When we asked the residents about how often they went downtown and if they wanted taco trucks or interactive art pieces more, they responded that they felt unsafe leaving their homes after a string of robberies with little police action, and that they needed somewhere to buy shoes for their child that did not cost an arm and a leg, so they did not have a lot of interest in downtown Urbana. While the Boneyard Creek is not necessarily a tourist destination, this plan laid out a similar purpose of bringing people to the downtown for solely recreational uses, and as Meredith Ray explains, tourism planners should be aware of the negative consequences of uncontrolled tourism development and minimize these negative impacts by respecting the local community's interests. While this revitalization could be used by local residents as well, of course, the plan Friends of the Boneyard had would bring people downtown using quirky attractions that would appeal to the younger student generation, and clearly was not necessarily appealing to the lifelong residents, possibly even ostracizing them further from downtown. Friends of the Boneyard knew that including community voices was important to the typical plan model, but they were only allowing people to use the voices that came up with the ideas for other communities. Now I would know that transactive planning would have been beneficial for this plan to ensure we were adjusting our assumptions and accepting and using knowledge from the people rather than from what we thought was best due to past experiences, the barometer alerting us that change had not occurred during this process. My takeaway from transactive planning was that while I understood right after that experience that our way of communication was flawed, I still thought of this project as only affecting the Boneyard Creek. Transactive planning revealed to me how important it was to get the community involved, even if it was not necessarily for them. Their community will be the one affected by this, and more open and continuous communication with stakeholders can allow collective knowledge to reveal wrong assumptions and allow for adjustment. The Boneyard Creek Master Plan can be a great addition to Urbana, but it cannot be an independent action by any means. The residents still might not use the space every day or even often, but involving them ensures that they are woven into the changes that are being made and that their expertise of the area are being utilized. In tourism planning especially, or in this case planning meant to bring people from other locations, there must be an exchange of knowledge between business owners, local residents, and the planners, as this plan does not and cannot exist outside of these entities. The barometer allows us to check if we are making false assumptions based off past experiences, and if we are, we can go to theory to see where we can find the changes that are necessary to ensure success. It is easy to get into a routine of doing what works, or at least what has worked so far, but sometimes what works now will stop working or will cause something worse down the road. Transactive theory revealed that I should always be considering alternatives and striving to learn and accept knowledge from stakeholders consistently through the planning process. Theory as a barometer reveals to us when we get stuck in those patterns or cycles that limit growth, as substandard public input did here. Planning theory and transactive theory specifically has made me realize the value of knowledge, which in future practice will inspire further education to inform my decisions. We should always be challenging our decision-making process and ensure that it changes as necessary from project to project.